Somehow, Wolfgang Van Halen went from being a snarky con artist to becoming one of the most revered band leaders of all time. After surpassing all expectations and mastering guitar on his own, Wolfgang Van Halen created history in his own right. He did not draw inspiration from his renowned father's achievements in the music industry. To learn about Wolfgang Van Halen's efforts and the significant changes he underwent, you have arrived at the correct spot. In his first performance, a few fans who professed to enjoy Wolfgang Van Halen's music referred to him as a baby. However, everything turned around when his debut solo single was nominated for a Grammy. It should come as no surprise that Wolfgang's musical talent began at an early age, given that his father was a well-known rock musician. However, it may come as a surprise to some that playing the drums was his first love. On Instagram, he posted a charming childhood photo of himself posing behind the drum kit that belonged to his uncle Alex Van Halen. Wearing his drumming Uggs and drumsticks that were nearly as large as him, he sneaked in a short jam session, according to his post. Wolfgang revealed to the media not long ago that his father had him beat a stack of magazines on a table like a snare drum when he was around 8 years old. The most important thing, according to his dad, was to retain the beat as he played the drums. Wolfgang was oblivious to the fact that this initial move in his musical career would result in the development of a loyal following. Wolfgang moved on from utilizing magazines as drums to a genuine drum set as his musical career progressed. He picked up the drums when he was around 9 or 10 years old. According to him, his father put forth a lot of time and effort to teach him this one skill. The news that he had a talent made his father very happy. Because of how they raised him, Valerie Bertinelli and Wolfgang Van Halen kept Wolfgang out of the limelight when he was a kid. He assured the media that his mother had done an excellent job ensuring that he had a typical, uneventful upbringing. Wolfgang recounted a family vacation in which they were met at the airport by a large contingent of photographers in an interview with Guitar World. To his knowledge, this was the first instance of people's altered behavior upon seeing his parents. The number of camera lights he had seen was the only peculiar thing that sprung into his head. The truth of his family's singing heritage was revealed to Wolfgang when he was 6 or 7 years old, according to Ultimate Classic Rock. While Wolfgang's band was still in its early stages, Eddie Van Halen started remastering their albums. Additionally, the sight of a box containing all of the albums was vivid in his mind. There was a portrait of his father and his name within. Asking his dad about the music industry was one of Wolfgang's first vivid glimpses into the world of show business. In a laid-back manner, his dad explained that it was all part of his profession. Since his father was a talented guitarist, Wolfgang had an interest in picking up the instrument as his memory improved and he grew older. He was also taken aback by the fact that his father hadn't imparted the same level of playing instruction as according to an interview Wolfgang gave to Louder Sound, his dad wasn't the greatest educator. In every instance when Wolfgang requested that Eddie demonstrate a specific technique, Eddie would assume a different identity. Wolfgang would be instructed by Eddie to mimic his every action. Knowing how challenging it was to emulate his dad's playing style, Wolfgang would respond with a sarcastic remark and a giggle whenever he heard this. He expressed his disapproval in a light-hearted manner, stating that he didn't think their abilities could compare to Eddie's. Are you in agreement? Was his intention sincere? Overlooking everything else, Wolfgang taught himself guitar. They were the type of people that taught themselves guitar. Therefore, he expressed a desire to follow in his father's footsteps. He stressed to Spin the significance of working on his own sound and abilities. His mother asked him how he had gotten into being a singer. Otherwise, he reasoned, they would merely perform a subpar cover of Van Halen's songs, therefore this strategy was brilliant. After seeing his son Wolfgang improve so much on the guitar, Michael Anthony's father requested Wolfgang to step in for Michael on bass for Van Halen in 2006. Even while it may have appeared unfair to those who weren't associated with the Van Halen family, Eddie Van Halen stated that his son Wolfgang's promotion to full band member at the tender age of 15 was based solely on his skill. Wolfgang was happy to oblige his dad's request and join in, but he made it clear that he would not be playing bass solos. While the band's 2007 and 2008 return tour with David Lee Roth proved to skeptics that Wolfgang was good, he eventually won them over. On the flip side, there were Van Halen fans who felt he was an equal match. In an interview with Louder Sound, Wolfgang revealed that the challenging circumstance had a profound impact on him. Following that, matters improved significantly. For many years, Wolfgang was a mainstay on stage with Van Halen. In 2013, he also announced that he would be touring with another hard rock band named Tremonti. The amount of effort he put into Tremonti was equal to that which he put into Van Halen, he told Billboard when they inquired. Even though he claimed that Van Halen was his first priority, whenever Tremonti wasn't on stage, he devoted himself entirely to him. Wolfgang explained to the Rock Street Journal that he and Creed guitarist Mark Tremonti became friends through a natural process, his long-standing acquaintance with Tremonti. During his time in Tremonti's native New Jersey, they were in critical need of a bassist for an upcoming tour. He recalled staying up late at their apartment to learn the entire set the night before they were to go on tour together the following day. The fact that Eddie Van Halen was undergoing treatment for tongue cancer became public knowledge in 2001. He made the announcement that he had conquered his sickness and was now completely free of cancer later in 2002. He succumbed to complications brought on by a recurrence of cancer in 2020 at the age of 65. Due to their strong bond, Wolfs was deeply saddened by Eddie's passing. While he was getting through it, he told Carson Daly that it was tough and that some days were better than others, and that the pain seemed like it would never completely go away. When asked about his health, Wolfgang told the truth. He was unhappy, but attempting to remain cheerful. The passing of Eddie Van Halen was a devastating blow to Wolfgang and the music industry overall. The man was not only a talented musician, but also a doting dad and the boys' closest friend. He claimed that a new TV show was causing Wolfgang and his mother Valerie Bertinelli a great deal of stress. Eddie Van Halen had previously left a few years prior. This play was supposed to recount the narrative of Eddie's life and death. He was a famous guitarist for Van Halen. Part of a bigger series, Autopsy: The Last Hours of Van Halen, investigates the causes of death of famous people. The show will reportedly utilize crucial medical details found on the bodies to demonstrate the manner in which these gigantic beings perished, as stated on Reels' website. In the Eddie Van Halen episode, forensic pathologist Dr. Michael Hunter was supposed to provide some facts that would help him determine Eddie's cause of death. He planned to investigate Eddie's life in its entirety in an effort to piece together the events leading up to his death. The episode synopsis states that Dr. Hunter would conduct an in-depth analysis of his life. Using Twitter, Van Halen did not mince words when he expressed his strong disagreement with Reels. The play, he said, was pitiful and heartless since it used the tragic death of a cancer patient for financial gain. The way things were being handled was clearly infuriating him. Bertinelli tweeted her agreement with her kid that the entire situation was terrible, seemingly in an effort to console him. The show and its subsequent seasons were both defended by Reels. Critics have praised Autopsy: The Last Hours for its responsible investigation of high-profile deaths and the circumstances surrounding them. A large number of individuals witnessed it. The network claimed that many of the viewers were medical professionals who appreciated the show's authenticity or fans who found it illuminating and helpful in their pursuit of personal health goals. Leaving it alone increases the likelihood that you won't see it, a portion of it. Despite their 2007 divorce, Bertinelli continues to talk about Eddie in her book, Enough Already, Learning to Love the Way I Am Today as a Partner. She shared with the media her belief that individuals encounter guiding spirits to assist them during challenging times. He remarked that one of the highlights of their journey was having Wolfgang Van Halen as a son. Because her feelings were so personal, she believed that others had trouble comprehending them. That was a love she had never experienced before. Bertinelli reflected on their relationship and came to the realization that although there were challenges, there were also many more enjoyable moments. To her, the love she felt for Eddie was unlike any other love she had experienced. According to Bertinelli, she had never had a friendship like the one she had with Ed. But Wolfgang informed the press that his father's words of wisdom to get over your sorrow and live life to the fullest had stayed with him. Although he sometimes considers giving up and isolating himself, he spoke about how much his father motivates him and how furious his father would be if he did so. According to Wolfgang, his dad is the driving force behind his success. While not performing with Van Halen or Tremonti, Wolfgang was hard at work on his 2021 debut album, Mammoth WVH. No one could have predicted that Wolfgang, after years of effort, would manage to play and record every instrument on the album by hand. He assured the media that he was personally involved in every aspect of the production, from script writing to acting. There was a lot of pressure to succeed, but there was also a lot of room for imagination. Wolfgang was unsure of the final product of the album before they began recording. Though he was impressed by Dave Grohl's ability to play every instrument on the Foo Fighters' debut album, he doubted he could achieve the same level of success. Wolfgang took to social media after the album's release a year ago to discuss the profound impact it had on his life. As he put it, it was the culmination of a long period of toil during which he had experienced many emotions, including grief, dread, uncertainty, and failure. The start of a new chapter in his life, he claimed. He accepted it, even though he wasn't convinced he was prepared. The release of his debut album only served to solidify his resolve to do live performances of his music. Sure, Mammoth's dad was in a band before he started Van Halen, so that's where the name comes from. Having enjoyed the name ever since hearing it told to him by his dad, Wolfgang expressed his admiration for it in an interview with NPR. He made a pact with himself that when he was old enough, he would form a band and release an album titled after it. After then, his musical journey continued exactly as he had intended. As the front man for his own rock band, Wolfgang ventured into unexplored musical territory. He expressed his desire to avoid sounding like David Lee Roth or any of his bandmates during an interview with Walking the Floor with Chris Shiflett. As far as he was concerned, he was simply being himself. He was more concerned with being genuine than with whether it would be dull. Wolfgang received his first Grammy nomination for his debut album, and his smash hit Distance took home the prize for Best Rock Song. In observance of the event, Wolfgang shared an Instagram photo with his mother Valerie Bertinelli, himself, and his former partner Andrea Alsop. He clarified in his post that it was acceptable for them to attend the nomination event, even though they were not selected. Having his debut solo song nominated in the same category as musicians he had always admired was a tremendous honor. The seriousness of the nomination he conceded had not yet settled in. As far as he was concerned, all he was doing was carrying on his father Eddie Van Halen's legacy. His mother was overjoyed and proud of her son because he had won a Grammy the previous time he was nominated. A major deal for Wolfgang was being acknowledged as an equal in the music industry. In an interview with Noise 11, he elaborated on his feelings. Receiving Grammy nominations with bands he has always admired, such as Foo Fighters, The Beatles, and Weezer, was a victory for him. He also expressed his deep significance to the occurrence within that same conversation. By his own admission, he took the nod to mean more than simply that someone appreciated his efforts and abilities. Since they were on par with such legendary bands, the event was much more unforgettable, according to Wolfgang. On October 15, 2015, after meeting online, Wolfgang embarked on his first date with Alsop, a photographer. On the same day after being together for 8 years, they tied the knot in their Los Angeles home. 90 or so individuals showed out to the celebration, according to Individuals magazine. They wanted to spend time with family and friends, according to Alsop. In addition to celebrating with their new husband, they hoped that all of their loved ones could join in the joy at the wedding. To pay tribute to his dad, Wolfgang had the instrumental 316 by Van Halen played as they made their way down the aisle. Composing this tune just for his son only deepened its significance for the guitarist. Not only was the wedding a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the happy couple, but it was also a meaningful celebration that brought their loved ones together. Indeed, there is more. As soon as Bertinelli heard that her son had found a life mate, she was overjoyed. She assured the media that they have a great understanding of one another. They are great at making each other feel comfortable and love the same kind of entertainment and hobbies. She was pleased for them since they got along so well. It put her at ease. Last year, when the music for the blockbuster Barbie movie came out, Wolfgang Van Halen was already enjoying a great deal of success with his own album, concert tour, and Grammy nomination. On Ryan Gosling's smash tune I'm Just Ken, which featured Slash of Guns N' Roses, he performed guitar magic. Despite his slight awkwardness, he had an incredible time being a part of Ryan Gosling's Oscars act, he told the Morning Call. He had no clue the Barbie movie would become as successful as it did after the fact, but he did understand that it would be popular with audiences. Even as a young child, he enthusiastically shared his delight in being a part of the initiative. Mammoth 2, Wolfgang's sophomore album, was released in August of last year. On the LP, he plays every instrument himself. Just like with Barbie, even Wolfgang's detractors have accused him of being a nepotism baby. In a January 2018 YouTube video, the hosts of the Atlanta radio show The Morning X claimed that David Lee Roth's statements regarding his dislike of Wolfgang were incomprehensible to them. Claiming to have misunderstood his meaning, they grumbled and moaned. Roth took advantage of their apparent confusion to express his thoughts on the subject. After realizing his words might have been misunderstood, he politely requested clarification. The hosts listened intently as he elaborated on his position, hoping that his initial message and their comprehension would become more apparent. It appears that you are curious about the subject matter of that video. Now, Roth questioned the fairness of the music industry while making fun of Van Halen. Speaking in character as Wolfgang Van Halen, a man claimed he wanted everyone to recognize his acting chops as the reason for his role's success. He made the comment in the film that his dad would be a regular employee here whether or not he was a big rock star. He was proud of his accomplishments and wanted everyone to recognize his innate abilities. Continuing, the imposter stated his desire for others to acknowledge his talent rather than attributing his success to his father. This made him quite angry. He wanted to prove that his abilities justified the part. Van Halen expressed his gratitude for their kindness to him. He cautioned that although it's great to be famous, people should be wary of believing everything they read, and he also claimed authorship of the popular song Eruption, which features Eddie Van Halen's distinctive guitar solo. It appears like Wolfgang is the latest victim in the never-ending tale of Van Halen into which he believes he was born. He no longer wants his dad to be the showstopper.